Hi, thanks for watching. Okay, I want to make this a part two of a video that I just did, where I was sort of talking about how we can naturally, hopefully without medication, kind of learn ways on our own through experimentation that we can sort of change the balance between kind of the serotonin driven, between the dopamine driven parts of our lives, which I think with our cluster B issues that tends to kind of dominate and sort of suppress the serotonin, so that we can sort of learn to moderate the dopamine through structuring our lifestyle, so that we can sort of bring that dopamine, sort of the average dopamine levels down, which can give room for us to bring up the serotonin. Okay, and I do think there's two ways we can do that. I think one way is just by lowering the dopamine. Okay, just take all our dopamine stuff and just kind of throw some playfulness into it. Maybe if we want to argue with somebody, we can argue maybe with more humor, maybe less sarcasm. Be more playful, just more playful with everything. Just kind of, we can still enjoy our food, but maybe less succulent, less. Because we have to kind of bring that sort of pleasure gratification just kind of down a bit. Or if we need to make money, we can make the money, but we can at least have like a sense of humor about it and maybe not be so serious about it. You know, just even when we're working, we can be more playful. But just anything to just get that dopamine just kind of modulated, at least I would say to half. Cut it in half. And if we need to go to a 12-step program and even join, like, say, Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, and say, hey, my drug is dopamine, whatever. Like, I need to be with you guys, and I want to get in a program because I'm addicted to my dopamine. So I want to bring my dopamine down, and having that support network. I think that would be a fantastic possibility. But not only just by bringing down the dopamine. I mean, yeah, that gives room for the serotonin just naturally, because they have a natural inverse relationship. Okay, but I think also we do need to look at ways that we can experiment even more. Okay, like, say, with the magic of life, the poetry of life. Okay, it may seem hokey, it may seem corny, but really have open mindedness, just to, in very small steps, maybe get more into the magic and sort of the magic and the poetry of life, so that might be another way that we can sort of sprout the miracle of serotonin without just bringing the dopamine. But in order to do that, I think our dopamine has to be down a certain amount, so that we can have that space to be in the mindset to be, kind of into the magic and the poetry. I think when we get too harsh in the dopamine, I think there's no poetry really. I mean, life is not really that magical. I mean, it's magical in a different way, but I'm talking about the magic of a different kind of magic. Um, so basically, in my experience, this is what I've had as learning. As my dopamine experience has kind of gone down, okay, I have felt more favorable to, let's say, having a garden. Okay, just a garden, and not just a garden, but really exploring the miracle of compost. Compost is learning about soil. Okay, and in my dopamine experience, in my dopamine past, to me, dirt was dirt. you know and I learned that soil is not dirt. Soil is a living organism. It's a living biosphere. It's a living environment. It's a combination of bacteria, and fungus, and just all kinds of animals. Different worms, and hopefully in a balance. But just the miracle of how soil is not just dirt. Soil is a cycle of decomposition and feeding and interrelationships, and even a relationship between the root systems of plants and how they trade between bacteria, and the bacteria feed the fungus, or vice versa, or whatever. But the bottom line is that that's a whole world. I mean, that's like a living world. And to look at the world, and when you see a forest, it's not just a bunch of trees. There's a whole living world of soil. The soil itself, and a real topsoil, true topsoil, is very spongy, and it holds a lot of water, a lot of water. So if you think of doing damage on a large scale to soil and the planet, that destroys the equivalent of like lakes, like whole lakes, or even oceans. and we're actually depleting the crust of the earth of a lot of natural water holdings that can also help balance weather. You know what I mean? So when you really think like that, um, there's something kind of miraculous and very special and very, I think, even sacred, about learning about the soil. It's not just the plants, and that was the first surprise to me when I got into gardening, because I thought it was, oh, I have this relationship with the plants, and you will have a relationship with the plants, and that's wonderful, you know. But I really recommend to everybody to I start with just with vegetable my, what do you call it, my vegetable waste. When I cut a green pepper, it comes with seeds. A lot of those seeds can actually sprout. I don't know, yeah, maybe it depends on where you buy them, but really a lot of vegetables you can buy in the store, tomatoes, whatever. You can just grow plants just straight from your vegetables, that you use in the house. There's ways that like sweet potatoes. You just cut the sweet potatoes into pieces, put them in the ground, and some of them will sprout. And you get sweet potatoes. It's a beautiful plant. And potatoes, and whatever. You just mess around. Having plants in the house, but having a relationship with the plants. And you can start off being the shittiest, worst, ignorant gardener. But if you just mess around by yourself, experiment, screw it up a bunch of times, eventually you're gonna develop a relationship with your plants, and you will learn by yourself. You know what I mean? And I think it's very important for a human being to learn how to create and or not create, but how to care for plants without training. You learn it organically. The learning of the garden is organic from the experience, because we as humans, we can learn organically without seminars and instruction, and we can make mistakes and discover on our own schedule, and just really develop a relationship with plants. And you may think that you have no empathy, you may think you have no feelings, whatever, but wait till you develop a relationship with the plants, and you'll develop some kind of attachment to the plants, and you'll be sensitive to when the plants start to act funny, or maybe sometimes the plants will die, and you'll have to do better the next time. You might screw up the next time, but it's a relationship. And the relationship with the garden is ups and downs. It's doing things wrong. It's learning. It's doing things wrong again, making different mistakes. But it's a whole process, a continuous process where you're just developing a relationship. And yeah, I think that will bring out a lot of natural kind of serotonin through the magic of life, the magic of soil. And you can laugh at it now, but go ahead and try to have some soil. Have different compost bins where you use different mixtures, and you experiment with different techniques, and compare how plants grow in the different composts. Go ahead and have different, just different types of plants, different watering schemes, different types of water, whatever. Maybe not putting tap water straight into the soil, because you might have to let the tap water evaporate some of the chemicals before put whatever. These are things that all of us can do, and so I think that having a relationship with plants and garden, that really can open up a lot of. That's like a magical world, in a poetic world. Learning how to cook, really learning how to cook, cooking natural, cooking really just maybe inventing your own recipes, inventing your own techniques, just really eating very healthy. That's all part of a lifestyle that I think can have its own magic, that is not a dopamine magic. It's not a dopamine hit. It's sort of a magic on another dimension. Um, Another thing to me that's very poetic is just maybe a different way of having friendship. Okay, because maybe in the dopamine world we're just into attractiveness, and whether someone has high status, or whether they're attractive, or whether other people will see them as impressive. Whereas on another level, when you're in a different mindset, a different vibration, whatever, maybe we can just have friendships with people with a different, on a different, sort of in a different dimension, where it's not about what is this person, what is their value to me, but maybe it's just having things in common, you know. So it's not a question of what's the status of this person, but we have things in common. Maybe we have a common purpose. Maybe we have a common interest. And so developing friendships on a different basis, and then cultivating those friendships the same way you cultivate the garden, where you have the ups and downs. You may not have the best feelings all the time, but it's the long-term commitment and the long-term investment. And even if you don't have feelings right away, over time, the relationship will give things that maybe we never thought we could have. So that those are very important, I think, to to kind of add to things that can increase our serotonin and make us more human, you know. And in the end, the goal is not to play with chemicals. I'm just using the chemicals as a metaphor to give us ideas how we might enhance our lives in ways that we didn't expect, you know. So I think gardening, cooking, healthy friendships, like really healthy friendships based on common purpose, common interest. Common purpose, I think, or having common experience, and so again, going back to those 12-step recovery, the Alcoholics Anonymous, the drug addicts anonymous, narcotics, whatever. But the idea is that addiction recovery. I think a lot of those groups, they can be toxic, but I think they do provide a lot of opportunities if you can find the right group of people where you can do a personality disorder recovery very similar to how the addicts do their recovery, which is changing lifestyle, kind of cooling down the dopamine, and maybe opening up healthy habits that kind of naturally raise the serotonin. So gardening, cooking, healthy friendships, and also like maybe just having. I already mentioned having a more playful attitude about everything, including fighting. When you have to fight, you could at least be funnier about it. Maybe try not to be so edgy. Maybe just try to just be more playful. Whatever. Just always working on kind of not going overboard on the dopamine, and maybe also on the other hand trying to raise that serotonin. I guess I'm trying to think if there's any more things that magical things for the serotonin, magical and poetic. Maybe looking at the stars. Maybe we should have more experience trying to find a very dark place, even if we have to drive a little bit long distance. But so we can spend hours under the real night sky, not the artificial night sky in the city where you don't really see the stars. But really like getting out in the country, like far away, and seeing the stars. That's Even if you don't think it's important, it is important. Okay, those are vitamins we need. Even if you don't feel it, it's not. I don't really feel it. Well, those are good vitamins that we ought to be looking for. It's probably worth more than Prozac or Lamictal or all those damn psych medications. Probably go see the stars. Um, Another thing is taking walks, not in a hurry. I think it's dopamine to take exercise where you're just trying to perform, trying to get the max calorie burn, whatever. What about taking a relaxed walk? Even though you're not going to get the intensity of the aerobic workout, there's still something mentally healthy about not being in a hurry, not trying to reach a milestone or beat a record. Just comfortable walks where it's not so much the exercise, but maybe it's like the nature path where you could be like in a forest, walking in a beautiful place where it's the beauty of the walk, seeing the animals, feeling the breeze. Those things, they may seem like nothing, but just having the breeze, having the walk, the beauty, the animals, those will naturally bring out things in us that we couldn't fake it if we wanted to. And people that say, "Oh, I want to be more empathetic. I want to be more human. I'm more human." It's like, why act it out when you can get it naturally? You can go and do the things, get the vitamins in life, the poetic vitamins, from a healthy nature walk or just being close to nature, more sunsets, more night skies. And then you don't have to act it out because you're naturally going to get it. Your body will naturally have more of those chemicals where you don't have to talk about how important it is to be empathetic or how important it is. I have so much compassion. Stop proclaiming and what is it? They call it like virtue signaling. Why don't we all get the right vitamins so we don't have to be talking about how much empathy we have, you know? And we can actually have more, whatever it is. Maybe for some of us, we'll never get that much empathy, but at least we'll be more human, and being more human is, I think, all that's needed. Sometimes I have my doubts. Sometimes I think some aspects of empathy might be more on the dopamine side. I'm not quite sure about that. I think we should leave our minds open, but, go get those vitamins. And I think, I do encourage people to be open to a kind of a 12-step recovery type program, where you have that support network, people with the same goal. People with personality disorders, we're trying to get our dopamine down, and we can even seek support for that. And then on the other side, kind of enhancing our poetic life, our poetic and magical life with gardening, soil, taking walks, beautiful nature walks, and seeing the sky and things like that. So that's the best I can offer. But I really care about this, and I really want to reach out to people with personality disorders. Thank you.